Sound production.
Roll sound.
Rolling.
Sound production. Take 2.
Welcome to the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. Remember those childhood movies you loved? Now, we're going to watch them again and find out if they're still as amazing as you remember. Or, your father was right. You were an idiot, and everything you watched was stupid. So buckle up, movie aficionados. Over-the-top gore? Check. Over-embellished action? Check. Gratuitous nudity? Double check. Storyline so absurd you could drive a semi-truck through those plot holes. Oh yeah, some of those movies didn't even know what a movie plot was. And that's the way we liked it. Now, here's your hosts, Anna Santos and Jimmy Coates.
There it is. Welcome to the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. Today we are going back to the 80s, 1984 to be specific, to watch Beverly Hills Cop. Eddie Murphy, as I was saying before, I watched a lot of him, especially with friends. Beverly Hills Cop, 48 Hours, another 48 Hours, Beverly Hills Cop 2, Golden Child. What's that one with Richard Pryor? Harlem Nights. Tons of movies in the 80s. But what do you remember about Beverly Hills Cop?
I remember it was hilarious. That's what I remember. Now, I watched it probably in the late 80s, early 90s. So I was apparently a little old for myself. So I watched it and I thought it was really, really funny. Obviously, a lot of the jokes I did not get. But I mean, I thought it was super funny and I loved all the characters and I loved Eddie Murphy in it. And I was watching, I think Bronson Pinchot at that point was in Perfect Strangers.
Yeah.
So I recognized him. But I remember thinking this movie was absolutely hilarious. And it was a classic. It's still a classic. People still talk about it to this day.
Yeah, I watched this movie quite a few times. Whenever I got the chance, I just remember it being funny. Like you, I didn't get all the jokes. Same when I watched Delirious. I laughed and I laughed and I didn't understand half of what he was talking about, but I laughed.
Yeah.
Just because he swore a lot.
Watching anything Eddie Murphy, well, before he started doing like the more family friendly stuff, like there were always jokes that you didn't get until you watched it like 5-10 years later, and then you're like, oh, that's what that was about.
All I knew is cursing a lot, and a lot of people I liked were all of a sudden gay, and I didn't know what was going on, but I was laughing. And so I haven't seen, probably sometime in the 90s would have been the last time I saw Beverly Hills Cop. It's not that it's just one of those ones that kind of fell off to the side, and like almost all of these movies, they just kind of disappear.
Weirdly enough, I think it may have been the mid 2000s the last time I saw it, and that's just because it popped up on TV.
Oh, okay.
And I had already missed the beginning of it because I very vividly remember that. And I was like, oh, Beverly Hills. Oh, he's already in Beverly Hills. Oh, okay. And so I just kept watching it. It's funny because I don't remember. I remember more of this movie than I do of most, which is look at me. I'm so proud of myself. But I don't remember a lot of specifics. Like it's not one of those movies where I can quote it or I can pick out a scene. Like I just remember laughing a lot and him running around a lot. And poor Judge Reinhold just being dragged along with him.
Yeah, I remember quite a bit. I remember like the banana in the tailpipe. I remember the Bronson Pinchot when he meets him, and that was pretty funny. I remember him laughing a lot in Beverly Hills because he's from Detroit. I remember the sergeant from Detroit.
Yes.
I guess I don't know if he does stage or he's has only done 3 movies.
Yeah.
And all 3 of them were the Beverly Hills Cops. That's it.
He probably does a lot of stage work.
Yeah. And I just remember him being very mean and vocal.
Oh yeah. He was I think he was one of my favorite characters because he was just mean.
Yeah.
Just mean.
All right. Well, let's take a look at 1984's box office for Beverly Hills Cop. Ooh, let me bring up a well, before I forget.
Also, for some reason, I really thought this movie had come out in the late 80s, like early 90s. For some reason, that was in my head as the date. So when you said
Oh,
1984, I was like, was it real? Wow.
yeah. Beverly Hills Cop 3 was in 91, 92.
Damn.
Yeah. And
I don't
I
think I've ever
believe
seen that one.
uh, it's okay
Yeah.
as far as I can remember. I remember loving Beverly Hills Cop 2.
Mm.
And what's her name was Sylvester Stallone's 80s wife. Very tall, very
Jennifer Flavin?
no.
No,
She
that's
was
the
in
90s wife.
she was in Red Sonja. She was an
Oh,
actress. She's the bad guy in Beverly Hills Cop 2.
right, right. Brigitte Nielsen?
Bridget Nielsen? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's an interesting one.
Yeah. All right. So let's take a look at 1984's box office. On a budget of $13 million, it had a domestic of 234.7 million and an international of 81.6, making a worldwide of 316. That would be good today.
That would be amazing today.
And let alone 1984. Needless to say, it was the number one movie of 1984.
Yeah.
Yeah, it made a shitload on $13 million.
That's nuts, especially when you put it in the context of it being 1984,
Yeah.
right? Like, if you really think about that, movie tickets were cheap,
Oh,
and it
yeah.
wasn't a network like they have now where, like, the all the theaters are interconnected. There were a lot more independent theaters.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Now, of note, it opened at number one and stayed number one for 13 weekends straight. It
Jesus.
dropped to number two for the 14th weekend and then back to number one for its 15th weekend. It beat out other opening films like 2010, which I remember liking, City Heat, I remember liking on its first weekend. And then like Dune, Cotton Club, Starman, and Runaway, The Falcon and the Snowman, Tomboy, Witness, which I
Oh,
loved,
wow. Such a good movie.
and Missing in Action too. It was dethroned on the 14th weekend. Not by a new opening, but it was Witness on its fifth week of release. So it kind of went back and forth a bit. Back in the day, there wasn't because when I was looking, there wasn't a new movie, let alone three movies opening every weekend.
Mm,
Sometimes five or six now. There were 4 or 5 weekends during this where there was no movies opening.
yeah.
Um, which made me think that this is something I think, especially now with not as many people going back to the movie theaters. I think they should start adopting this again. Instead of making all these movies for $200 million a piece or $150 million a piece, make a couple, make some $13 million or $30 million movies. Every movie theater should open up like maybe 10 movies a year. And because we miss so much,
We do. The
so
problem
much.
is when they were doing this, it's because they were doing it on film.
Yeah.
There was an actual editor who was cutting film to, like, do this. We were just starting to get into, like, special effects and more digital stuff. We were just, like it was just opening the door at this point. Now, any Tom, Dick, or Harry with 10 grand can film a movie,
Yeah.
enter it
Yeah.
into a festival because there are lots of festivals that accept people without, you know, discernment. Um, so it's a different like we need more if I think if we were still filming on film, it would be a very different situation. But because we've gone pretty much digital with so much, and now
Or
there are so many people who can do like special effects in their house.
yeah, or we need more independence where you can go to that independent theater and watch the
Yes,
$10,000 movie or because now it's all corporate. And
that's very true.
what I liked about this was that you could go on a weekend, nothing new is opening, and you go, oh, okay, I've seen Beverly Hills Cop twice.
Mhm.
I've seen Witness. You know what? I'm gonna watch City Heat or Dune or something.
Yeah.
It just looks like you could catch up on a lot and I don't know. It's just like every week, it's like there's like 8 straight to video or VODs. There's
Mhm.
like 3 or 4 big budget movies, and it's really hard to keep up.
There's a lot to, like, watch, and there's stuff like, it's funny because I never made it to the theater to watch Abigail, which still hurts my heart.
I bought it when it came out on video on demand.
Yeah, but now it's, like, 29.99 to buy it.
I know I bought it
Yeah, and
just
I
so I
was
could
like,
see it. It was
"I don't
good.
know if I wanna pay $30."
It's not $30 good.
I'd pay $30 to go to the theater, get some
Yeah.
popcorn, like, for the experience, but if I'm sitting at home in my pajamas, I'm not paying $30 to buy a movie that I have not seen yet. Now, if it was a movie that I've seen and I loved and it had a whole bunch of extras, I'm buying the digital copy, let's do this, but for $30, but I'm like, "Nah, I can't," and I think that's the difference, there's no experience anymore.
Well, there are some
But
now coming out where if you buy, like I know the new Ghostbusters, the new King Kong, when it comes with extras. So you get the digital
mm,
movie plus you get some extras like the making ofs and stuff like that.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't get to go to theater. Like I'm going to be going to watch Despicable Me 4. That's what I get to go see. So I will pay the extra for Abigail.
Yeah.
Mad Max,
Mm.
he's not even in it. Um, the Mad Max, what is it called? Ferocia?
Furiosa?
Yeah,
Furiosa.
I'll pay the 20,
Yeah,
30 bucks to watch that because it does look no Mad Max, but it still looks awesome.
I mean,
Um, yeah, but it's a lot. Like, and then you're like, well, you just wait a few more weeks and it'll probably be on a streamer somewhere.
honestly, I'm just waiting for it to pop up. Usually it pops up, free on Crave before, like, the Primes and the Netflixes and all of that. So
Right.
I've just been periodically checking because 'cause I'm like, "I wanna know I'm gonna like it before I buy it." That's just call me crazy.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Let's go to the tail of the tape. 1984. It was an action comedy. Oh, it came out in December too, which was
Oh,
weird.
wow.
So yeah, that's a weird release for this type of movie, and it only opened with like 8 million, which again, 1984. That's not bad. It's still number one,
Yeah.
but it had legs and it kept going and going and going. It is an action comedy. It is rated R and it comes in at 1 hour and 45 minutes.
Huh. I don't remember it feeling that long.
Taglines. He's been chased, thrown through a window, and arrested. Eddie Murphy is a Detroit cop on vacation in Beverly Hills.
That's stupid.
This is a
That's a
synopsis.
terrible, terrible tagline.
The heat is on,
Okay, that one I'm not mad at.
and that's also like the main song.
Yeah.
I'd play it, but we get flag on YouTube.
We'll just think about it.
Synopsis. Those were the only two taglines.
I'll accept
Synopsis.
it.
After his childhood buddy is murdered while visiting Detroit, rebellious. I can't read that. Oh, wait. Idiot. Me. There we go. Let's start over. After his childhood buddy is murdered while visiting Detroit, rebellious cop Axel Foley, Eddie Murphy, follows the leads to Beverly Hills, California,
Mhm.
under the auspices,
Auspices.
auspices. Why would you make such big fucking words for? You think really smart people are watching these movies? God, fuck. Of a vacation, he checks in with old friend Jenny Summers, Lisa Elbacker,
Sounds right.
sure, and starts to believe her boss, art dealer Victor Maitland, Stephen Burkhoff. Ooh, I remember him. He looks like a villain. Might somehow be involved in the murder. However, Lieutenant Bogomil, Ronnie Cox of the Beverly Hills Police Department, does not trust Foley and hinders his search for evidence. That was a terrible read.
But
His
you made it
buddy,
through.
I made it through. His buddy dies. He follows his leads to Beverly Hills and
Mhm.
gets into some hijinks.
As you do as a
Yeah,
detective.
of course. And here is the poster. Very iconic.
Mhm.
It's the one he's been chased, thrown through a window, and arrested. Eddie Murphy's a Detroit cop on vacation in Beverly Hills. Up top, he's sitting on a red car. Beverly Hills Cop underneath his foot. Yeah, I like the poster. It's
Also, there's something that you probably won't see on most posters now. He's holding a gun.
yeah, he's holding a gun. Did you? We'll talk about that. In a minute. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
Oh no, we're done this. Okay, we before we go. Yeah, you're right about the gun, but Amazon airbrushed "Born to Kill"
Mm.
off the what movie was that? Full Metal Jacket.
Oh,
Where it's a very iconic. It's the Born to Kill, and then it has the peace sign. And there's
yeah.
a scene in the movie that explains because the one of the guys are like, Why do you have a peace sign and Born to Kill?" And it's this whole speech he gives, but it's very iconic. It was actually the poster was painted by some artist that is very famous. I'm not an art person, obviously, and people got all up in a snit. Actually, Matthew Modine was the
Yeah.
first. He on Twitter or X said, what gives? You can't just alter." And so Amazon did put it back, but yeah, Big Brother is starting to
Starting.
yeah
Starting.
starting.
Those motherfuckers are all up in there.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Anyways, we're talking about Beverly Hills Cop.
That's right.
Rotten Tomatoes. 52 critic reviews. This movie sits at 83%. That
Impressive.
is very high for an action comedy, like a cop movie from 80s.
So high.
250,000 audience members, and it's at 82%. So I
That's
think
really
everyone's
high.
in agreement. Yeah, that's very high. Especially for that many people. And the critic consensus is the buddy cop movie continues its evolution unabated with this Eddie Murphy vehicle that's fast, furious, and funny. All right.
So fancy.
Let's start with the fresh. You may start.
I'm ready. Although Murphy is a one man army comedian, the chemistry between Foley, Rosewood, and Taggart truly makes the movie hilarious. Mike Massey, Gone with the Twins, original score 9 out of 10. Wow, that's high.
And I do remember Rosewood and Taggart. They were pretty funny. Judge
Yeah.
Reinhold and Austin,
John Ashton.
John Aston. Yeah.
Yeah.
Both in the new one. Murphy is a one-man show backed up by a supporting cast, especially Reinhold and Ashton, who allow Murphy the freedom to do what he does best. Allison Rose, flick direct, original score 4.5 out of 5.
Wow. A work of racial subversion that's both hilarious and cathartic. John Larson, Larson on Film, original score 3.5 out of 4.
This lickety split action comedy is distinguished by the wry, character conscious direction of Martin Brest, who coaxes a silver bullet performance from star Eddie Murphy that's practically criminal in its accuracy. Kirk Ellis, Hollywood Reporter, original score not available, but he liked it.
Simply put, Beverly Hills Cop is one of the best buddy cop movies ever made. R.L. Schaefer, IGN DVD, original score 10 out of 10.
Yeah, this is building it up.
Yeah.
Be really good. It's one of the few star comedies of the early 80s to allot some humor and personality to the minor characters. Dave Kerr, Chicago Reader, original score not available. And like you said, I remember Bronson Pinchot. I remember Judge Reinhold. I
Mhm.
remember the sergeant from Detroit. Oh, Paul Reiser, his partner
Yes.
that's supposed to keep everyone busy back in Detroit for him. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, that does the
It's
minor
got a
characters.
really funny cast.
Yeah.
Like all of the cast is funny. It's a good detective story. It's a great bad guy. It's got a motivated hero. It's a fun movie that moves and doesn't stop. Kevin Carr, Fat Guys at the Movies, original score 4 out of 4.
All right. Rotten. I'll start. It has a creamy surface and junky insides. Ew. It's kind of gross. David Elliott, Copley News Service, original score not available.
That sounds so wrong.
Hmm.
Okay. Expectations that Eddie Murphy's street brand of rebelliousness would devastate staid and glittery. Let's try that again. Expectations that Eddie Murphy's street brand of rebelliousness would devastate staid and glittery Beverly Hills are not entirely met in a film that grows increasingly dramatic. Variety staff, Variety original score not available. What the fuck were you trying to say about that?
Wow. I'm glad you said that. I would have. Whoa. I would have
I'm gonna have
butchered
to
the
read.
shit out of that.
I did butcher the shit out of it because I was like, wait, this is. You need more punctuation, Variety.
Yeah. I just copy and paste. All right. Eddie Murphy looks like the latest victim of the star magic syndrome, in which it is assumed that a movie will be a hit simply because it stars an enormously talented person. Roger Ebert, Chicago Sun-Times, original score 2.5 out of 4.
Damn, Roger. Away from Murphy's iconic comic status and star quality at the time, he was a limited dramatic actor, making almost untenable the tauter moments of the plot. PJ Navarro, Patrick Navarro, original score 2 out of 5.
All right, IMDb. 207,000 user ratings brings us at 7.4. A little lower than Rotten Tomatoes, but still, again, pretty
Still
high.
pretty high.
Yeah. All right, a lot of people like this. So we could take turns, but you may start.
Okay. Beverly Hills, these are the 10 out of 10s.
Yes.
Beverly Hills Cop is the best classic action comedy film from the 80s. Ivo Cobra 8.
Beverly Hills Tops. Prismark 10.
Eddie Murphy's greatest achievement. Foley Axel.
Standing ovation. BJG reviews.
Hugely enjoyable and features Eddie Murphy in his best role, the little songbird.
Funniest combination of bananas and tailpipes in cinematic history. 9 out of 10. Anonymous Maxine.
Fantastic. The heat is on. Indeed. 8 out of 10. Hitchcock the Legend.
One of the only times Murphy's talents has not been misused. 7 out of 10. Policy 134.
Popular 1980s comedy, but too energetic for my liking. 6 out of 10. Tony Peacock 1.
Likes his movies a little slow. A little slower. Average movie in today's standards. I think they meant by today's standards, but
yeah.
5 out of 10. SAF reviews.
Too cliched to be entertaining. 4 out of 10. Haverpopper 4.
Overrated to the point of surreality. 3 out of 10. Jidiki 20. There were
2
no
out of
2 out
10
of 10s.
is not available.
Beverly Hills Plop. Sorry.
Okay.
And it has asterisks beside it. 1 out of 10. It was the only one there.
Oh.
Tallwood 13. Beverly Hills Plop.
That's... Who hurt you, Tallwood 13?
Yeah.
That you made that pun.
All right. So we went over what we remembered, went over the box office, went over the tail of the tape, synopsis, taglines, and looked at some reviews. Let us watch the trailer, and then we're going to make our predictions.
Eddie Murphy is a Detroit cop on vacation in Beverly Hills.
I just got off the phone with an Inspector Todd in Detroit. He says if you're out here investigating the Tandino murder, you needn't bother coming back.
I don't want to take it anymore.
For a man who claims to be on vacation, you look a lot like you're on a stakeout.
Stakeout? No. I'm picnicking. This is like a picnic area. I have to ask you some questions about Michael Tandino. I've never been to a cell that had a phone in it. Can I stay for a while? Because I ordered some pizza.
We have 6 witnesses that say you broke in and started tearing up the place, then jumped out the window.
May I help you?
Yeah. I'm looking for Victor Maitland.
I have nothing to say to you.
How you doing? You guys don't know nothing about nothing, do you? You just got your badges and your guns and you're on the job, right? Make sure we get the right I drink soon. If I drink club soda, I'll throw up. You know, this is the cleanest and nicest police car I've ever been in my life. This thing's nicer than my apartment.
I suspect you are the pride of your department in Detroit. It seems painfully obvious you haven't the slightest idea who you're dealing with.
I don't know what y'all think I am. Giving me some kind of food. Hurry up, quicker.
Crawl back to your little stone in Detroit before you get squashed.
Cover me. Police! You're all under arrest! You do that again, I'll shoot you myself.
Eddie Murphy, Beverly Hills Cop.
That is a great trailer. That is one catchy song.
It is a very catchy song. I can't wait to hear the soundtrack for this movie.
Yeah, actually, I was thinking the same thing. That's gonna be great.
I feel like it's going to be a really good one.
It looks funny. I a few more things popped into my head as I watched it. I still don't remember everything. I'm excited about watching it. What's your prediction? I think I'm gonna like
gonna
it.
like it. We're agreed on this. We both think we're
Yeah.
gonna like it. I kind of am curious of how much comedy is not gonna land anymore, or if it's pretty safe to say that you're gonna be okay for the most part. I'm curious to see.
I'm gonna be okay for the most part.
No,
or
not you.
I
The
think.
world. The
Oh,
world.
okay. I thought you were because I'm a white dude. I'm
You're gonna be
okay
fine with
the
everything.
dated humor. He's making fun of minorities. Love it.
As a minority. Honestly, I think that'll probably save him a little bit. But well, yeah, I'm curious to see if it still translates to today.
Well, it is 40 years today. No, not today. I mean this year. I mean, I guess this
Yeah.
December it'll be 40 years it was released. That's a long fucking time.
That's a really fucking long time. So I think it'll
Wow.
be really interesting to see if I'm still laughing at it this like 40 years later and not being like, ooh,
Yeah.
that's not okay. But I'm excited to see it because I really, really remember loving it. Now I'm like, I think I'm gonna like it still. We'll see how much.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are gonna go watch Beverly Hills Cop. I think it's on a bunch of streaming services.
Mhm.
On Paramount and Netflix. Paramount because they made. I think they make it.
Mm,
I think so, and
I think
it's
so.
on Netflix because Netflix has number 4 coming out soon, which we are going to review when we come back from this as well. But let's go watch Beverly Hills Cop and then come back and review it.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
And now, on with the show.
You gonna play games, man? Hey, I'm fucking somebody else. Hey! What the fuck is this?
Did you see this shit? I can describe all of them.
Please move to the side of the car and put your hands on the hood.
Why? What's with you guys?
You heard what he said, sir. Do it right now, please.
What kind of shit is this, man? Hold up. Wait a second. You guys are arresting me for getting thrown out of a fucking window? I got thrown out of a window, man.
Gun, partner. Sir, you are under arrest. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of the law. You have the right to have an attorney present during questioning.
Yeah, I understand. I understand the rights. I know this is bullshit, though, man. I got thrown out of a fucking window.
Please get in the car, sir.
Yeah, but tell me, son, what's the charge?
Possession of a concealed weapon and disturbing the peace.
Disturbing the peace? I got thrown out of a window. What's the fucking charge for getting pushed out of a moving car, huh? Jaywalking? This is bullshit.
Ooh. Was it that fun, kids? Bananas in the tailpipes and cursing and Did you watch Beverly Hills Cop 1984?
I did.
And what's your initial thoughts?
It's still funny. Which actually surprised me. I wasn't expecting to find it that funny. Not as hilarious as I remember, and it was more action heavy than I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a little bit of a surprise for me, but I really enjoyed it. And I didn't find anything that was like super red flag, which is impressive for a movie from 1984.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, my initial thought. I had a lot of fun watching this movie.
Yeah.
Yes, it is getting up there in age, but this wasn't just watching a well done action comedy. Like this was being teleported back to the 80s.
Oh, 100%.
And I don't remember shit about 1984, but it was fun watching it.
I remember very little about
Very little.
1984.
A little bit, but not a whole lot.
I do remember my kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Pereira. Hi. That's and I remember a few other things. I think that was the year I also had like a Barbie cake for my birthday. It was a very exciting time.
Yeah, and surprisingly, not a lot. There was not it. I didn't. There wasn't a whole lot of offensive stuff in this movie.
No, there wasn't anything like super outright that you're like, oh shit, you can't do that now. There
No.
were a couple things like
He
where
pretended to be gay a couple times.
yeah. So like that was a little like borderline, but he wasn't even.
But it wasn't like out of meanness or spite or
No, it wasn't out of meanness. It wasn't out of spite. It wasn't overly flamboyant either.
No.
Like he didn't take it to the extreme. And I was like, oh, this is refreshing.
Yeah. No, I was
Especially for 1984.
Yeah. I was a little surprised. I was expecting something.
Me too. I was actually really shocked that it wasn't that it aged pretty well. We'll put it that way. Like you can obviously tell it is a movie from the 1980s. There's no doubt about it. Like you can't get around that.
No.
100%.
But
however, super good.
Yeah, and I enjoyed it. You know how sometimes you watch a movie and you're like, I wish it was a little newer, or I enjoyed it being looking the way it did.
Yeah. No, it was pretty impressive. I was like, oh, like it. I think the comedy in it and the story isn't super time sensitive.
No.
So like it's a story that could be told today. Like it's not, and I think that helps a lot. And a lot of the comedy in it isn't super. I don't want to say not super 1980s because it pretty much is, but it's not super dated. Like a lot of the jokes still land today. It's still funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I did find it pretty much all pretty funny. There were maybe a couple that were dated, but
yeah, there were some jokes that didn't land quite as well, but still good, which honestly shocked me. Not even gonna lie.
All right, let's go over the movie. Okay, so Axel Foley is a plainclothes Detroit detective whose latest unauthorized sting operation goes sour when two uniformed officers intervene, resulting in a high-speed chase through the city that causes widespread damage. First, whoever cast this film, for the music. There is
so good.
Nothing like being sucked into a song. Like
I was dancing during the credits.
Yeah, I was bobbing I wasn't dancing, but I was bobbing my like a white man bob.
Yeah.
There are songs that if I hear them, I want to go watch a movie, and especially 80s, like "Don't You Forget About Me."
Yes.
One St. Elmo's Fire, the Top Gun soundtrack, and this movie soundtrack was awesome. It was good. I loved it.
Good. So good.
So it would be second. Whoever cast this film, fucking bravo.
Right?
Because from the beginning, these bit parts are played amazingly.
They are so great. Like, everybody is cast so incredibly well. There
Yeah.
is nobody that you're like, they should have cast somebody else. You're just like, yo, this was funny. This was good. I love also Paul Reiser, one of my favorites.
Yeah, and we'll get to that too. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I kind of was part two was I got number 1 and 2 all intermixed from my memories. So
Yeah.
what I think in the preview I was saying, remember when Paul Reiser was back trying to keep everyone busy.
Mhm.
That's part 2. That's in Beverly Hills Cop 2. That was not in this one, but he was still funny in this one.
He was. The scene in the locker room.
Yeah,
Like,
that was
I
good.
was like, this is fantastic.
This is not my locker. and then Todd is like, no, it's not your fucking locker. Jeffrey, get the fuck out of here. But even the smallest of person, like the cigarette buyer played by Frank Pesci, who went on to do bigger
Yep.
things. Like he's been in a ton, and he's been one of my favorite Christmas movies, 29th Street. Just a little part, but he's memorable. Like when the cops come up and he takes the money out of Foley's hand, he's like, fuck this, I'm out of here. Nice doing business with you, kid. And even the guy driving it,
Yeah.
yeah, but the thugs, the cops, the police captain, Serge, and they were given jokes.
Yes.
And they were funny. It wasn't just the
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy getting all the ha-has.
No, everybody else got to get ha-has, which
Yeah.
I really liked. And I was like, oh, look at you sharing the wealth.
Yeah, it was really awesome. I will also admit that I like I said, Beverly Hills, it bled in. So everything I was waiting for things to happen, and yeah, some things weren't happening, but whatever. I remember, I think it's in number 2 where we get a little bit more of Inspector Todd, really cursing him out.
Yeah.
Axel's superior, Inspector Douglas Todd, reprimands him for his reckless behavior and threatens to fire him unless he changes his ways. And I was expecting a little more vocal swearing, but I love when Todd is like, the chief chewed my ass off, and Axel's like, he didn't chew it all off. You still got a little ass left. Don't fuck with me, Axel. Not today.
But the best part was Todd was already walking away when
Yeah.
Axel said that line.
Yeah, he's like, hey, chief.
Didn't chew it off. Hey, chief, didn't chew it all off. You still got a little ass. Todd was just like, fuck you. Yes.
Axel arrives at his apartment to find it has been broken into by his childhood friend, Mikey Tandino. Mikey has done prison time for a car theft the pair had committed when they were younger, but has since landed a role as a security guard in Beverly Hills thanks to mutual friend Jenny Summers. Mike also shows Axel some German bearer bonds, and Axel wonders how he got them, but chooses not to question him about it. This was great. Mikey, played by James Russo.
Yep.
Looks so young. Oh my God. If you see him a few years later, you're like, oh, that guy.
Yeah.
Like, he's done a ton, and he's usually always a bad guy or a douche. He just has that look about him. But this movie gives us enough information, enough time with the two of them to like him and get that they're best friends.
Yes, they were best friends, and it's funny because the story is actually really well told, and you do build the history in very short conversations with them. Like, it's not a lot of exposition, but it's just enough that you understand they were best friends.
Yeah.
Mikey covered for Axel because they were both in on the stealing of the cars, and it's like, well, why'd you do it? And he was like,
yeah,
you're my best friend. Like, why would I? And you're just like, okay, so they're loyal to each other. And this is also like, you're like, oh, so that's why Axel, the police officer, is not asking where he got those bonds from.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just like, I'm not going to ask because I don't want to know. We're cool.
Well,
let's go play cool.
I love that when Mikey is like, you know what we should do? We should steal a car. And Axel's like, I can't steal a car. I'm a motherfucking police officer. But he's laughing as he's saying it.
Like, these are friends who obviously took two very different paths in life.
Yeah, but are still
have love for each other.
Yeah.
Which I appreciated.
After going out at the bar, they return to Axel's apartment where the two men, Zach and Casey, knock Axel unconscious, confront Mikey about the stolen bearer bonds, and then murder him. And go ahead.
2 taps.
2
They
taps.
stayed true. They stayed true to like organized crime. You're like, if you're gonna take someone out, 2 taps. I
2
was like,
taps
damn.
just in case.
And I forgot that we saw that on camera.
And it was it was because they knocked him down, then he pulled back his
Yeah.
head and tapped. Then there was the 2 taps with the gun. It was very not gory, but it was still disturbing to see. And because you like the character, he's funny. Like when they were playing pool, he
Yeah.
bet the guy $100, and he's like, "Oh, what are you gonna do?" And gives the guy the $100.
That was something about this that I was like, "Oh, I fucking care that he's dead." Like, I'm
Yeah.
sad. I'm sad that they killed him. And I was like, "Damn." I wasn't because here's the thing, when you watch a comedy, what you remember as a comedy, especially from the 80s, you're not expecting to really care.
Mm-mm.
And this is very much like a plot point. This is a story point, like just to move the story forward. You have to be introduced to Mikey, but they managed to make him so likable in like the 3 minutes of airtime that he had, that
Yeah.
by the time he gets the 2 taps, you're like, "No, Mikey, no." And then you're like, "Is Axel okay? He got knocked out. What's happening with him? They're not gonna 2 tap him, are they?"
Yeah, because like what you just said there is like Rambo 2, when he fell in love with that girl over the boat ride and then she gets killed. You're like, okay, cool. Now he's gonna lose his shit and kill a ton of people. Thank you.
Yeah.
Where this one, you're like, oh, I like that character. He was pretty funny.
Like, I wanted him to live. And I was like, "Oh, son of a bitch." But I was like, "That's actually really impressive writing-wise and director." And
Yeah.
I'm like, "Fuck, you made me care about this character that I only met less than 5 minutes ago." Amazing.
Now, I will say they did skip over any type of funeral, which is a little odd, but you don't notice it a lot here. Like if you've seen this movie and if you're listening, you probably have. You're just getting excited that now Axel is going to Beverly Hills, but there was no mention of a funeral or anything like that. So that's the only. And I'm reading way too much into it, but that's the only thing that I would
Give
fault
me
it.
one graveside scene, and then Axel getting into his car,
Yeah.
and then the next scene you cut to him in Beverly Hills in his car. And
Yeah.
I'm like, it would have been nice, not needed, but
No,
it
not
would have been nice.
necessary, but yeah, would have been nice.
Yeah.
Axel asked to be assigned to investigate Mikey's murder, but Inspector Todd won't allow it due to his close ties to Mikey. Under the guise of taking vacation time, Axel travels to Beverly Hills to solve the crime himself. Again, great soundtrack, great montage, transitioning
good.
from Detroit to Beverly Hills.
Yep.
We also get him checking into the hotel, posing as a journalist, interviewing Michael Jackson, and his tirade. Well, here,
Oh my
okay,
God.
let's take a look at, because I do have a couple ones here,
Let's for
so
sure.
let's take a look.
Thank you. Hi.
Nervous, some people, huh?
May I help you?
Yes, you have a reservation for an Axel Foley?
Well, let's see. I'm sorry, I don't see anything under that name.
Check Rolling Stone Magazine's Axel Foley. That's what it is.
No Rolling Stone, no Axel Foley. I'm sorry, sir.
Oh, that's all right. You guys probably just made some kind of mistake with reservations. Why don't you just give me another room now, go up and go to sleep?
I'm sorry, sir, but there are no rooms available.
Don't you think I realize what's going on here, miss? Who do you think I am, huh? Don't you think I know that if I was some hot shot from out of town that pulled inside here, and you guys made a reservation mistake, I'd be the first one to get a room, and I'd be upstairs relaxing right now. But I'm not some hot shot from out of town. I'm a small reporter from Rolling Stone magazine that's in town to do an exclusive interview with Michael Jackson. That's going to be picked up by every major magazine in the country. I was going to call the article, Michael Jackson is sitting on top of the world, but now I think I might as well just call it, Michael Jackson can sit on top of the world just as long as he doesn't sit in the Beverly Palm Hotel, because there's no niggas allowed in there.
Excuse me, sir. It seems that we do have a last-minute cancellation. There is a room available. It's a suite, but I'll only charge you the single room rate.
Thank you. I'm sorry I got upset. It's probably from jet lag or something. I'm very tired.
I understand,
What's
sir.
the rate, anyway?
That'll be $235 a night, sir.
Fine.
And that'll be suite 1035.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. If Michael called, tell him what room I'm in.
Because I couldn't repeat that joke
Yeah, no.
for obvious reasons, but it was funny. So funny.
Yeah, no, that was fantastic. I was like, yes, start making a scene. Get this suite for 230, and it's funny because 235, you're like, that's
That's
a
not bad.
budget hotel in Toronto,
Yeah,
actually, right
yeah.
now.
You
And
probably
then
couldn't get it in New York or
oh
Beverly
god,
Hills.
are you crazy? But yeah, it was like 235. That sounds cheap, and then you realize it's 1984.
84.
You
I
forgot for
think
a hot second there.
I don't know if it's in the trivia, but it did say that for inflation, it would be 600 and something, which
Yeah.
in Beverly Hills is probably still a
Fairly
deal.
cheap, actually.
Yeah.
That is actually, I'm trying to think because the last time I looked at hotel prices, because I toy with the idea of going to LA all the time and just kind of visiting. So I occasionally will look at a hotel and be like, I can't afford that.
Yeah.
And then you see the like really rank hotels and they're like $200 a night. You're like, you look like I'm gonna, I like that's the kind of hotel people get raped and murdered in. What? You want me to pay $200 for that? No.
Yeah,
Thanks.
no thanks.
Anyways.
Okay, so he finds Jenny working in an art gallery and learns about Mikey's ties to Victor Maitland, the gallery's owner. It's not in Wikipedia here, but we are introduced to Serge. And there
Mm.
is a whole thing on the internet where Bronson Pinchot explains where they sent the other actor home by accident and needed him to say a few extra lines, and what he came up with, the director loved it and expanded on it. And he's appeared in every Beverly Hills Cop movie since. And if I read this, I'm pretty sure it was improvised, and we're going to take a look, and this is going to be the last one, because we might, if we got a clip for every funny moment, we just might as well just watch the movie.
True
so
story.
this will be the last one.
Help you? Yeah, I'm looking for Miss Jenny Summers.
She's very busy today. Maybe you give me your name?
My name's Axel Foley.
And what it's pertaining?
I didn't understand what you said.
Pertaining, what it's meaning, regarding.
Oh, what's it regarding? I'm an old acquaintance of hers.
Danae? One moment. Don't run and tell me, Summers, that Mr. Ahmed Foley is here to see...
Axel Foley. Axel.
Axel. Foley is here to see her. He's our old acquaintance. Donnie, cover this up. It's like the breast of a dog to scrub for the customer. It's not sexy, it's animal.
No, it's not sexy at all.
May I offer you something to drink? Wine, a cocktail, espresso?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
I'll make it myself right back there with a little lemon twist. It's good. You should try it.
No, I'm fine.
I see you look at this piece.
Yeah, I was wondering how much something like this went for.
$130,000.
Get the fuck out of here!
No, I cannot. It's serious because it's very important piece.
Cannot.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Oh fuck. Then Axel meets Jenny and tells her that Mikey is dead. And and again, it's just they're not very long, but they're long enough, and that you get the story. It gets and it gives you the importance of what's actually going on. It was very well written and directed.
Incredibly well written, well directed, well cast. Because for the actors to make an impact in that short of a time, you really have to have that trifecta. Because otherwise you're fucked. Like if one of those is lacking, then
you can't.
Don't have the
you need all three.
You felt bad for Jenny when she heard about Mikey, and you literally just met her, but you're like, "Oh, Jenny, I'm sorry. Do you need a hug?"
And part of that is because Mikey and Axel talked about her.
Yes.
Back in Detroit, so you already got a sense that you know her kind of or heard of her, and it's really well done. Posing as a flower delivery man, Axel goes to Maitland's office to question him about Mikey, but is thrown out of a window by Maitland's bodyguards and arrested for trespassing. That was our clip at the beginning. That was I cannot overstate, if you have not seen this movie in a long time, like I have not seen it since maybe early 90s, I think I was saying. I don't know why, or maybe this is why it's such a treat watching, but it won't be another 30 years till I watch this again.
No.
I want to watch part 2 and even the horrendous part 3. Like we should do it like a double feature.
We should.
We
should. Because I don't remember. I don't think I ever watched 3, and I don't remember 2.
Right.
So I'm like, I now want to see them because I was like, 1 was delightful,
Yeah.
and then we'll find out what I feel about 4 later. But
Right.
I was like, 1 was delightful. Why did I not like, why can't I remember 2, and why did I not watch 3?
So I remember really liking 2, and I remember I think 3 was okay,
Yeah.
but not great.
We'll find out.
Anyways, thrown out the window, like he's in total shock. Like, what the fuck just happened? I just got thrown out the window. At the police station, Beverly
Mhm.
Hills Police Department, Lieutenant Andrew Bogomil assigned Sergeant John Taggart and Detective Billy Rosewood to follow Axel. This is where he antagonizes Taggart, and Taggart punches him in the stomach.
Yep.
And like I said, I would love to show a clip, but if I keep showing them, we're just gonna watch the whole movie. Bogomil calls Taggart in his office, and they come out, and Taggart apologizes like a child whose parent has escorted him to a neighbor's house to make sure he's doing it word for word properly.
Yep.
And then Axel is asked if he'd like to press charges against Taggart, and he's like, "Where I come from, cops don't charge other cops." And Bogomil's like,
Yeah.
"Well, here at Beverly Hills, we do it by the book." Jenny posts bail and then takes him to the warehouse where we see 2 guys bringing that crate, take the bonds out like the ones that Mikey had, and Axel notices coffee grounds, which will come in later. Wikipedia. They have a humiliating and comical encounter with him when he temporarily disables their car. That was all they have. This is the banana in the tailpipe.
Also, Damon Wayans was the banana man.
Yeah, I made a note where I'm like, I'm watching, I'm going, that's Damon Wayans.
Seriously.
Where
Well, my
he's like,
first thought was Wayans' brother. And then it was like, which one is it? Rewound. I was like, Damon Wayans.
Damon Wayans. Yeah, yeah. He was like, just take him.
Yeah.
Just take.
That was fantastic. The entire, like, getting the room service for them in the car, and Taggart being like, "No, I'm not gonna eat that." And he's like, "I'm gonna have the shrimp salad."
Yeah, and Rosewood is taking it.
Rosewood's into
Taggart-
it. He's like, "This looks
He's like,
delicious."
yeah, it looks really good. While Axel's stuffing the bananas in the tailpipe, and the guy's just winking at him.
Yep.
Also getting the bananas. Yeah, that was funny. There's my note here with Damon Wayans. As a result, Billy and Taggart do not get along with Axel at first, but the 3 begin to develop a mutual respect after they foil robbery at a strip bar. Great scene. Taggart and Rosewood are facing away from the stage, and Axel's just having the time of his life.
He's just watching. He's like, "Hey,
Yeah. And then Billy starts to get into it and gives a dollar and puts it in her G-string.
But it's so funny because he's like, "Excuse me. Excuse me." It's like, that was the most polite interaction with a stripper I've ever seen.
Yeah. And then Axel starts to bring up the coffee bean things and then 2 guys come in, and Axel realizes they're about to rob the place, and he and Taggart position themselves. Billy at the end comes and tells them to freeze. Okay, so back to Wikipedia. Continuing his investigation, Axel sneaks into one of Maitland's warehouses where he finds crates full of coffee grounds. He suspects they have been used to pack drugs, since he knows they are often used to cover the scent of drugs from police dogs. Axel also discovers that many of Maitland's crates have not gone through customs. After being arrested again, this time as a scuffle with Zach in Maitland's country club. With Zach at Maitland's country club, Axel attempts to alert Bogomil and that Maitland must be a smuggler. But the Beverly Hills police chief, Hubbard, who has learned of Axel's ill-advised investigation acts, orders that he be escorted out of town. This is where we also see, I never noticed this when I was a kid, obviously, that Bogomil has a respect for Axel. Like he gets what he's saying. He knew what he was talking about when it came to the coffee beans, and you can tell he respects or recognizes that he's a good cop. Like when he was doing that story when he was going on about that story of the 2 super cops, he was just watching the strip show, and Taggart and Rosewood were the ones that actually did it. Like you could tell he knew he was full of shit, but
100%.
Yeah. Axel convinces Billy to pick up Jenny instead and take her with them to the warehouse where a shipment is due to arrive that day. Axel and Jenny break into the warehouse and discover several bags of cocaine inside a crate, of course, under the coffee.
Of course.
Before he can get his newfound evidence to Billy, Maitland arrives with his associates Zach and Casey. Maitland takes Jenny and leaves Axel, ordering that he be killed. Zach then tells Axel that he was the one that killed Mikey. After some hesitation, Billy enters the warehouse and rescues Axel after a brief gunfight, during which he kills Casey. Now, Billy Rosewood, I was sitting there as the bad guys show up going, they might need some help, dude. Then they exit with Jenny, and it's like, Rosewood, they really might need some help.
Anybody gonna do anything? No?
Yeah,
Okay.
just sitting there, and he's like agonizing over whether he should do something or not. I'm like, Rosewood's instincts suck. But he does rescue Axel, saves Axel,
Yeah.
and again, Taggart and Rosewood were funny. Like they're kind of like Laurel and Hardy, Abbott and Costello.
Yeah.
Um,
Or really
Taggart,
just a dad and his teenage son.
yeah,
Taggart
kind of, because he's
is very much the, like, by the rules, like, let's keep this straight. Let's keep this on the straight and narrow, like, let's not, like, get wild.
you
And
know,
Rosewood is kinda like, can we just maybe, like, can we go a little? I just wanna Can we try it?"
or
And
when
he's
they're
like,
like
"God damn it."
in the stakeout, they're waiting for Axel, and he's like, I notice you're feeling a little, and I notice you eat a lot of red meat and doing stuff like that. So it's a weird relationship.
It's a great relationship, and you don't appreciate that when you're younger and you watch this
No.
movie, but as you get older, you're kinda like, "Oh, yeah, they probably get on each other's nerves, but love each other a lot." Like, it feels right.
Um, yeah, and it wasn't just Axel being the one man show. Like Taggart helps him in the strip club, Billy saves
Mhm.
Axel. They both help in the mansion, even Bogomil. So I really, and as a kid, I didn't. As an older viewer, yeah, you do appreciate it a lot more. There was a lot more layers to it
Yeah.
because when you're a kid, you were just watching this because of Eddie Murphy. That's
Oh,
all you were
100%.
watching. Yeah,
And you were just watching Eddie Murphy. Like,
yeah,
you didn't pick up on the more subtle kind of ensemble feel of the movie.
yeah. Okay, Taggart tracks Axel and Billy to Maitland's estate, where he joins the two in rescuing Jenny and bringing Maitland to justice. Together, the trio wipe out a number of Maitland's men, including Zach. With Bogomil's help, Axel then fatally shoots Maitland's and rescues Jenny. This again, just Taggart and trying to get up over that wall. His fucking legs kick in, and Billy trying to push him up, like pushing his ass up, and then they fall. The way they fall, they like go backward. And then like Axel's waiting for them, then he sees Taggart struggling and he's laughing, and no, this was a really good finale. It was a great
Yeah.
finale.
It
Yeah.
really was. It
Yeah.
really, really was. Like, it was very funny, very well timed, really great, like, physical comedy.
Yeah.
And this is also where we end up with, Billy's line, this is where it becomes his trend, where he, like, stands up and tells everybody to breathe,
And then and he's
and
like,
then they shoot at him.
yeah, he's like, if you do that again, I'm gonna shoot you myself.
I laughed hard at that one, not
Again,
gonna
in
lie.
the 80s, the bad guys, they can't shoot very well. The 80s,
Of
that
course
was kind
not.
of a staple. But for the most part, like when they were getting shot, it was the action was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did enjoy it. Bogomil fabricates a story to Hubbard that manages to cover for all the participants without discrediting the Beverly Hills PD. Axel,
Mhm.
realizing that his exploits while on vacation will likely get him fired from the Detroit PD, asks Bogomil to smooth matters over with Inspector Todd. When Axel mentions the possibility of setting up shop as a private investigator in Beverly Hills, Bogomil nervously agrees to wipe the slate clean for him. Later, Taggart and Billy meet Axel as he is checking out of his hotel and pay his bill. He invites them to join him for a farewell drink, and they accept the offer. It freezes, which I thought was a weird when it just freezes on his face for a
Mhm.
bit. I thought that was odd. That actually comes up in trivia. But yeah, that is our movie.
Wow, that's you know what? The trend of when we like a movie, if we the reviews are shorter, still sticks.
Yeah, yeah, it does. Yeah. Yeah, we talk a lot more when we hate the movie.
Oh god, so much more. But it's like there were no glaring red flags. There was no like super offensive humor in this. There were no like huge plot holes. Like there was the normal action movie plot holes cuz obviously, but there wasn't anything like glaring or that stopped the story. It was well acted, it was well directed. It freaks me out, yo, that I still really like this movie.
Yeah. No, it was, yeah, great. Well, yeah, so let's What is your score?
Honestly, this is a buy it. I very rarely say this, but this is worth the money. If you can get this, I'd even say up to $20, although you could probably buy it for 15 if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
Um, it's still funny. There is nothing overtly offensive about it and about the comedy, which shocked me. Um, it still holds up and it's still funny and it's still enjoyable and the action is still pretty good. Although there are times where you're like, my God, this is still super 80s. This is definitely from the 80s, but the story itself works and
Yes.
the acting still works and the comedy still works. But I mean, there are a few things like when you see the Detroit police cars, you're like, what the fuck is that?
Those were horrible.
Those were terrible. I was like, what the fuck is that on top of the car? And if you watch this movie, ladies and gentlemen and peoples of the YouTubes and the podcasts, you will see what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because I was
There
like,
was a
that
big
is not
difference.
real.
I actually had the same thought. Like, is that what they look like in the 80s? Because when you
I
get from
know.
Detroit to what you expect, Beverly Hills, what you expect a police car to look like,
Yes.
yeah, they were
It was crazy. But anyways,
completely different.
this is one of the movies that can still stand up today and still be funny. And it's not and honestly, this is terrible to say, but I think it's very important to say. Jerry Seinfeld recently said that everybody's entirely too emotional and too like sensitive, and you can't tell jokes and you can't be funny anymore because apparently him being outdated and boring is very offensive to him. Anyways, this is proof that you can still be funny 40 years later. Doing it like the comedy is the same 40 years later. It's still fucking funny.
Yeah.
And are there some things where you're like, not totally kosher? Of course, because it's 1984. But surprisingly, it's not offensive.
No. No,
And
not at
it's
all.
shocking to me, to be perfectly honest. So buy it. Buy this movie. What's your rating?
My score. Beverly Hills Cop is still a very funny movie, and it doesn't rely solely on star performer to carry all the jokes and action. It's well paced and benefits from being stuck in the past. It is a time capsule that is just as exciting to open now as it was back in the 80s. The jokes are funny, the acting is spot on, from the good guys to the bad guys and everyone in between. It is clever, it is outlandish while still feeling realistic. And most importantly, it is very entertaining. I could watch this again tonight and still enjoy it. Like I said, I want to watch more. I want to watch part 2 and even part 3. The score, the soundtrack, perfect. The look from Detroit to Beverly Hills, other than the Detroit police cars, all look spectacular, very nostalgic. But Eddie Murphy isn't just good, he's perfect in this movie. Like, you cheer for him, you laugh at him, you laugh with him. The supporting cast, like all of them are great. I would be hard pressed to come up with a better action comedy. This movie not only shows us why Eddie Murphy was such a star in the 80s, but why the 80s is regarded as having so many great movies. Beverly Hills Cop is 80s movie royalty. And the reason so many action comedies borrowed from this and are also compared to this. Buy it. Yeah. I think it is on every streaming service out there. But I would be interested in spending money on a Blu-ray or a 4K if it had a decent amount of features with it.
Oh, yeah.
This is worth buying in fear that it might leave streaming. And
Oh, yeah.
I would buy the poster or the tin poster for the movie room or the man cave or whatever. Yeah, this movie's iconic and great. Yeah.
I'm still shocked that it holds up still.
I had so much fun watching this fucking movie. So much fun.
Well, first I was a little surprised because I was like as I was watching it, I was like, wow, this is a lot more action heavy than I remember it being. Which I was not mad about because I love action movies. So I was like, oh, there's like a lot of action in this movie. I remember it just being mostly comedy. And then I was like, but the comedy is still funny. Like I
Yeah.
was still laughing. And I was like, oh shit. This is still good. It was shocking to me, and I'm very pleased. Very, very pleased.
All right. So we are going to go over Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. But first, we're going to go through Beverly Hills trivia because this will make easier editing. All right. There is so much trivia. it's fun trivia. This was not a horrible production. There was not. Everyone seemed. I did read stuff where it was they all remain friends.
Amazing.
And so it was. Yeah. So this is not. This is just fun trivia. This is not like Judge Dredd. All right, you may start.
Eddie Murphy, John Ashton, Judge Reinhold improvised most of their comic lines. Literally hundreds of takes were ruined by cast members, actors, or the director laughing during shooting. During the Super Cops monologue, Ashton is pinching his face hard and looking down in apparent frustration. He is actually laughing. Reinhold put his hand in his pocket and pinched his thigh really hard, trying to prevent himself from laughing. That's fantastic.
Axel Foley's t-shirt is from Mumford, a real-life Detroit area school one of the filmmakers attended. When the film came out, the school got orders for the shirts from customers all over the world.
Well, that's fantastic. Look at that school fundraiser without even trying.
Yeah, probably made a pretty good penny, too.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I think I went the wrong way here.
You did.
There we go.
Okay. Originally, 2 men were supposed to be working in the art gallery scenes. When the director heard Bronson Pinchot's Serge impersonation, he thought it was so hysterical that he scaled back the other part to give Pinchot more screen time. The second actor shows up briefly with his shirt collar open too wide, and Serge comments on it. Serge was a gem.
Yeah.
Serge was a gem.
Yeah, and he, like I said, he's in part 2, 3, and in part 4.
Yes.
Eddie Murphy became very tired while filming the police station sequences. The crew offered him coffee, but he refused to drink it because he refuses to take drugs of any kind. Eventually, he relented and took small sips of coffee to stay awake. He became very energized and ad-libbed the Super Cops monologue.
That's fucking amazing. Gilbert R. Hill, a real-life Detroit Police Department homicide detective, played Inspector Todd. Hill later served as president of the Detroit City Council. And I heard he was the runner-up for the mayor.
I did hear that too, yeah.
He ran for mayor and he got runner-up.
The film marked a change of career for Ronnie Cox, often used for soft-spoken, fatherly characters. Cox became sought for in the role of corporate villains, notably in RoboCop and Total Recall, after playing the hard-nosed detective in Beverly Hills Cop. Oh, what happened to me there?
You disappeared. That's fantastic for him.
Yeah.
I like that. Eddie Murphy backed out of doing Ghostbusters to do this film. And I think that was a solid choice.
Very smart choice, but you could only imagine what he would have done in Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of him and Dan Aykroyd going off together and just having a time.
And he never regretted. This is not in this trivia. I did read a thing where Eddie Murphy has only said he's only regretted not taking one movie, and that was Who Framed Roger Rabbit. He said that when he heard about what they're trying to do, it didn't make sense to him and didn't think they could pull it off properly. And then he said when he watched it, he was so mad that he didn't take the movie. And what's his name?
I can't remember his name either, but
I can't remember. Bob Hoskins.
I see him. Yes, that's it.
Bob Hoskins. He said that was every time he sees that movie, he gets so mad that he didn't take. He said he would have had so much fun making that movie.
I think it would have been a very different movie with him in it.
Yeah.
Very different.
I can't remember. Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's me. Sure, why not? We're gonna make it me. The completed movie made such an impression on Paramount executives that they committed to a sequel moments after the first private executive screening of the completed film. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Usually they wait for box office.
Yeah, exactly. And then they watch this and they're like, this is gonna be good.
Yeah.
This is the first of 7 Eddie Murphy movies in a row to open at #1 at the box office.
That's impressive.
That's impressive. And before this, it was Trading Places and 48 Hours. So they didn't open at #1, obviously.
The shooting script was literally pasted together from the many scripts written for the project over the years. When they were stuck, Eddie Murphy would improvise dialogue or create a scene. Honestly, pretty impressive because it doesn't feel like that in this movie.
No, not at all.
It feels like there was a completed script that was well thought out and planned.
And I've also read that when they wanted him to do Shrek and he got Donkey, I don't know if he had it already, but I know he does music, so he probably had it already.
Mm.
He did it all like he did it at his home. And
Yeah.
they just I guess told him to do just do you. And he is
Just
one of
do
the
you.
memorable
Oh,
things
everybody
from that
loves
movie.
Donkey.
Yeah. Film debut of Damon Wayans.
And he did a fantastic
was-
job.
Yeah, that was funny.
Broke the 11-year record set by The Exorcist, 1973, as the highest grossing R-rated film domestically, and itself held the record for 19 years until surpassed by The Matrix Reloaded, 2003. After adjusting for inflation, this is the third highest grossing R-rated film domestically after The Exorcist and The Godfather, 1972.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Yeah. When trying to locate Foley and Rosewood, the Beverly Hills PD consult a satellite tracking system. At the time, it was made up to advance the plot. It was invented later, a predecessor of the modern-day global positioning system, known as GPS.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
They just made shit up, and then I'm sure some scientist guy watched this movie and he was like, actually, that's kind of smart.
Yeah, we could actually do that.
Can we do that? Sylvester Stallone said he left the project because he didn't think audiences would accept him as a fish out of water cop who was new to the lifestyle of Beverly Hills. He also didn't like the inclusion of comedy because he didn't feel he was suited for it.
It would have been a way different movie.
It would have been such a different movie. Such a different movie.
The movie was written for Sylvester Stallone with the character of Michael Tandino as his brother and Jenny Summers as his love interest.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Director Martin Brest flipped a quarter to decide whether to direct the picture or not. In the wake of Beverly Hills Cop's enormous success, he later had the quarter framed and hung it upon a wall in his office. I mean, honestly, I would too.
Yeah, no shit. The first film to be released to over 2,000 theaters in the United States.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a huge release, especially for the 80s.
84, yeah. That 2000, that's a ton. Oh, shit.
I got this. Don't worry. Hold on. I'm going to get a little sip of water. Mm-hmm. All right, I'm good. Michael Eisner, who was head of Paramount Pictures, came up with the film's concept in 1975. While driving an old station wagon that he first owned in New York City, he was stopped for speeding on the freeway. The police officer treated him with condescension due to the condition of his vehicle. It made Eisner realize the degree to which status is measured in Los Angeles by what kind of car you drive, and he reportedly exchanged the station wagon for a Mercedes-Benz the following day. However, he became dedicated to enshrining the event in a film about a Beverly Hills policeman. In the coming years, Eisner remained dissatisfied with potential scripts until Daniel Petrie Jr., who had never been credited as a feature film writer, submitted his screenplay in September 1983. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you.
So, yeah, Michael Eisner had an idea and he looked at a bunch of writers and said, get on it. And 8 years later, this guy did it.
It was 8 years of, not this one. Not
right.
this one.
No, you're fired. Get out of here. Who's next? Many of the opening shots were filmed in Detroit. Martin Brest was escorted around the city by the police, who would refuse to follow him when they thought it was too dangerous. Brest and crew continued with their work unescorted. Actually, it was undercover regular clothing cops. And I guess when they went to like some they're like, no thanks.
Yeah, they're like, no. This is not the neighborhood we're going to hang out in. Thanks.
Yeah, we're good. Good luck to you.
The Beverly Hills Police did not provide access to their headquarters, so Martin Brest and staff built a set that would look like the exact opposite of the Detroit Police Department, like private security for all rich people. The set was influenced by Brest's original conceptual designs for the NORAD scenes in War Games 1983. He recycled his unused work because he felt he spent too much time on it to never use it. I mean, valid. Also, I remember loving War Games.
I remember loving War Games too.
Yeah.
That was awesome. The shooting script was literally pasted together from the many scripts written for the project over the years. When they were stuck, Eddie Murphy... Didn't we do this one already?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought we did. My bad.
It's okay. You can take this one though.
Okay. According to Martin Brest, the stripper in the scene where Axel, Rosewood, and Taggart are at the club together was a dancer named Mouse. She was evidently a legendary stripper, and the song playing in the scene, Nasty Girl by Vanity 6, I think that was written by Prince as well, was the actual song Mouse danced to.
That's good for her. She got to put her actual work on
Yeah,
film.
she contributed.
She did. She was also super hot. And
Yeah.
I love that song, Nasty Girl.
Yeah,
Love
it
it.
was as soon as I heard it, I totally forgot about it, obviously. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Producers wanted to cut out the scene between Victor and Jenny, played by Lisa Eilbacher. But Martin Brest felt it was necessary to the plot and that it was the scene where Victor's villainy became clear. Brest made a trade. In order to keep the scene in, he had to give in and include the freeze frame shot at the end of the film. Brest didn't like this aesthetic idea, but acquiesced.
Yeah, and that's why we got that weird camera
Yeah.
freeze at the end there.
Every time they do that, I'm like, it was very popular in the 80s for
Yeah.
some fucking reason. But every time they do that, it kind of makes me think of a soap opera.
Yeah.
Because they just like stop on the person's face and the person freezes, like they don't actually do a freeze frame. But anyways.
Yeah. The truck used during the opening chase sequence was referred to on set as the train. Its front bumper was replaced with a steel I-beam so it could plow through anything it came into contact with. Eddie Murphy did many of the stunts needed during the sequence, and these shots were filmed in downtown LA, not Detroit. The shot of Axel flying out of the back and hitting the side of the truck was obviously a stuntman, one who didn't want to get back in the truck after. It looked like when he flew out of the back and hit the side of that looked impressive.
It looked very impressive. It also looked
and-
like it hurt because I was like,
Yeah.
God, you're just getting flung around. For the shot where Axel jumps down steps and rolls into a gunshot, Eddie Murphy had to shoot some of this. He had to shoot the shot of Axel actually jumping off the steps, but Murphy didn't want to do this. Brest convinced him by saying if he could do it, Eddie could do it. Brest did it, and Murphy came in.
This film was released on VHS at close to the same time as the introduction consumer-oriented Casio PT80 handheld microphone keyboard. If you're listening to this and you can't see it, you just go on and Google Casio PT-80 and you will recognize it. It was an enormous hit with the kids. Thanks to video rentals, huge numbers of parents rented the videos and kids were able to see it. Shortly after, huge numbers of kids, quite literally around the planet, were using the Casios to punch out the Axel Foley theme. It became a common complaint among school teachers about the incessant playing of the theme by kids during recess. It was actually shot on not this keyboard, a much bigger keyboard, but yes, you could play it on this keyboard. If you just see the notes.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no, I was gonna get an actual this actual song, but again, we'd get flagged by YouTube.
Yeah.
Fucking YouTube.
The scene after the gunfight, when Bogomil is explaining everything that went down to the chief of police, was a particularly nerve-wracking day of shooting for Martin Brest. Their time was very limited, and all the different shots required several camera movements and different lighting setups. Martin even called the studio during the day and said he wasn't sure if they'd be able to get the entire scene finished that day. They told him to do the best he could. Brest, who was smoking at the time, notes he smoked literally 7 packs of cigarettes that day.
Wow.
We've all been there, sir. We've all been. Actually, no, I think my record was like 3 packs of smokes.
I was gonna say 3. I can say 3, and I was drinking a lot that day.
I was filling a room with smoke for a short that I worked on in film school.
Yeah, and 7. Wow,
that's a lot. That's a lot.
That is a lot,
especially if he's smoking to the filter, dude. Ugh.
When Foley enters the department where he works, the words Investigation Operations Division are written on the window. Investigation is misspelled. Martin Brest mentions this, notes that it annoyed him at the time, but this being 1984, he didn't worry about it too much. Everyone's illiterate.
The first R-rated film in history to gross over $200 million domestically. That's impressive.
Yeah. And that is it for our trivia.
Yay.
All right. So let's take a quick look at We'll play the trailer for Beverly Hills Cop Axel F.
Mhm.
And then we will talk about it.
Beautiful day here in Beverly Hills.
What the hell was that?
Let me guess. Foley.
Did you say Foley? Foley! You stole a helicopter!
I didn't realize that you couldn't really fly a helicopter. Otherwise, I would have came up with a different idea. I told you it was a bad idea. He shot my rotor off. Shit. You know, this is very embarrassing. You know, part of me rather get locked up than get put in this little Fisher-Price-looking squad car. Y'all are the Lego cops.
Jane, hey, this is your father. Before you hang up, I'm in town. I've been arrested. Hello?
You sure y'all paying y'all's bills? Because this phone don't work.
This isn't my first time in Beverly Hills.
Yeah, I saw that. 84, 87, and then 94. But this place has changed a bit.
What brings you back to 90210?
I got a call from Billy. He's in trouble now. What do you want from me? I want you to be a cop again. You gotta do something.
Axel, if you damage any city property...
You're in a snowplow?
Yeah, we in a damn snowplow. What's the problem? A lot of blind spots in the snowplow.
I'm on an undercover mission with Wait for it.
You're pissing off a lot of people. That means we're getting close. Y'all safe? Everybody safe?
There's no seatbelt in the middle.
The hell with the seatbelt? We're on the edge.
We're gonna need some backup.
Whoa, what are you doing?
Getting us some backup.
God, I missed you, Axel.
All right, so that was our trailer for
Beverly Hills Cop Axel F.
Yeah, and did you watch Beverly Hills Cop Axel F?
I did. I
right,
did.
Well, first, I love Netflix, and here's why. The movie theaters are struggling to find their footing again after COVID. Netflix has figured this out. Netflix just looks at what people are watching and go, okay, let's make some more of this. And they range in budget. You get very cheap movies on Netflix that they make, mid-level movies, horror, and they do everything. They don't care if you're a Democrat, conservative. They don't care if you're religious. If you're watching it, they will make it for you.
Yes.
What they're also doing is the last couple of years really getting into this summer blockbuster type mentality, and this is what this is. This is a blockbuster movie.
Yeah. Well, I can definitely see they know that in the summertime and probably around Christmas, more people are watching movies because the kids are home from school or you're on vacation. You've always got a tablet, a phone, a TV. And now most Airbnbs or hotels have smart TVs.
Yeah.
So you're going to be able to watch it wherever. So they're making sure that they're making product for people to consume at a higher rate during the summer. And I'm not mad at that.
Yeah, no, and so what do we think of this number 4, Beverly Hills Cop 4?
I thought it was pretty funny.
I thought it was pretty good too.
Yeah, I'm always wary once you get to the higher number of sequels because I'm like, is it really still funny? But this one I found paid a lot of homage to the first one. There were a lot of repeating bits. There was, and it felt familiar but still new at the same time.
Yes.
And I can appreciate that. It was very much it was, even though this is a brand spanking new movie, very filled with nostalgia because you get a lot of the same lines, you get some jokes, you they harken back to the first one a lot. And I appreciate that.
And they do give where if you haven't seen number 3, if you're listening or watching, Number 3 kind of does the same thing, but everything kind of felt, I remember, a little forced.
Mm.
Like they put Bonson, Surge in there, and he was selling guns, and
Yes, that's weird.
it was funny, but it seemed out of place. Where everything, bringing everyone back in this one made sense. They did it in
Yeah.
a very smart way, and I did read a lot of the reviews where people was like, "There's nothing new here." Da 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 da. When you're on number 4, we don't want you to recreate the wheel here. We want Axel Foley, and we want all the character, and we want funny. It's like Friday 13th Part 5. No Jason. They had this, what they thought was a clever plot, and it was just this guy pretending to be Jason, and everyone lost their shit. And the movie maker's like, "We're sorry. Here's Part 6, and we brought Jason back to laugh."
But I mean, it's true because I'm not looking for something groundbreaking when I'm watching
No.
Fast and the Furious 10.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
No. I want to be entertained while they are fast and furious. Like,
Yeah.
this is not rocket science. This is not brain surgery. This is a simple concept. We want Axel Foley acting the fool,
Yeah.
making the uppers a little angry and uncomfortable, and I want him to crack jokes while doing it.
Yeah.
This is all I want.
And that's what he did. And again, it wasn't just all Eddie Murphy, who, by the way, looks a little heavier.
He's filled out a little bit.
Compared to Beverly Hills Cop 1, but still, oh my God.
But I will say this. Okay, I have 2 things to say. 1, weren't we all skinny in 1984? We were all skinny in 1984.
Yeah. I was very young.
2, I was 4 years old. I had skinny legs. It was a novel time. That didn't happen after puberty. And 2, black don't crack. Eddie Murphy looks great, and he will continue to look great until he is 90. Because 1, he probably gets a facial every 6 weeks, and like has massages and has a personal chef who like feeds him antioxidants and shit. But also 2, I mean, darker skin just ages better.
Yeah.
And if he takes care of his skin on top of that, the man's gonna look 40 for the rest of his life.
Yeah, Eddie
'Cause
Murphy, you look great.
he looks amazing. A little fuller, but
Yeah.
that just means he has enough money he's 63 years old.
Yeah.
Like, it's
And they
crazy.
actually addressed that, like when Jeffrey is like, "We're getting old. Why do you still want to be out here?" And the opening scene with the snowplow and the
Yeah.
detective that thought he actually wanted to hang out with them, but was using him. And when he's like driving the snowplow, and he's like, "There's a lot of blind spots in the fucking snowplow." It was great. The action scenes with the helicopter were great. It was the action is very well done. Like, this was a big budget movie.
100%.
It was funny enough. It's an event film, and it was great to watch. It was not as good as Beverly Hills Cop 1, and I don't
No.
remember 2 and 3 well to say it was better or worse. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it was way better than number 3. But is it better than number 2? I can't remember, but we're gonna watch number 2 and 3 down the road here sooner.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and I love seeing Rosewood and Taggart. They used it really good, and even
did.
Surge.
Yes. The Surge scenes were amazing, and when he's "Get the fuck out of here. I cannot." I started laughing. Like, I was like, for some reason, that's the funniest thing ever. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
He was great in this.
He was so good.
Yeah, he was.
I was like that. I was like, "Oh, shit." And the chemistry between Paul Reiser and Eddie Murphy is still on point.
Yeah.
It is still great. I still kinda wanna watch a buddy cop movie of the 2 of them.
Yeah.
Like, maybe they're going for, Axel Foley's daughter's wedding on an island somewhere, and there are bad guys to fight, and I want them to do it.
And Kevin Bacon was great. You knew right away Kevin Bacon was the bad guy. As soon as you saw him, the way he was
100%.
acting, but he
Yeah.
played it really well.
He's so slick and so smarmy that when you see him, you're like, "Ah, you're shady as fuck."
Was it
But
one of his
he
goons from Supernatural that
I
played the
think
devil all the
so.
time?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, I thought so.
I recognized him, and I was like, "Your face. I know your face." And then I was
Yeah.
like, "You're the devil."
And then the uncle of the Axel's daughter is defending a guy who
Yeah.
apparently shot a undercover police officer. I can't
Mhm.
remember his name. It's bugging me now. He's been in so many friggin' movies.
He has. And
he was
I know him.
Yeah,
Apparently, I can't remember his name, but I know him.
yeah, he was friggin' funny too. Doing the
Yeah.
karaoke when they walked into his bar. He's horrible at it,
So
and everyone's like just dancing along.
Yeah, well, of course, you're not gonna say no. That's crazy talk. But yeah, no, there was a lot of like really, really
Very well cast.
very, very well cast. It was super funny. Well, okay, let me rephrase. It was very funny.
Yes.
I don't know if I would say like it's not the funniest movie I've ever seen,
No.
but it was a very funny movie. It definitely had its moments. There were a lot of really funny things. And also, did you realize one of the 2 female cops that he gets arrested by is his actual daughter?
It was his actual daughter, yeah.
Which is fantastic. I was like, "Look at you." But yeah, no, it was, like, super funny, and it went at a great pace.
Yeah, it had a great pace.
It had a
Great
really great
action.
pace. Yeah, and I was like, "Well, shit,
Great
guys."
cast of characters, even the smaller parts yet again. Like, I can't remember what I know her from, the real estate agent. I don't know if it was anger management or
Oh,
I can't
shit.
remember what it was from, but I recognize her from something. So again,
Yeah.
all these smaller characters played by really good actors. Not as good as Beverly Hills Cop 1, but it's a great movie. It's a great, especially if you want a little more Beverly Hills Cop.
You know what? It was a fun 2 hours.
Yeah, it was definitely worth watching.
And
Don't have to
especially
buy it because it's on Netflix.
Yeah, if you already have a Netflix, like, subscription,
Yeah, like
it's
Eddie
a good
Murphy.
time.
Yeah.
Watch it. It's a laugh. It's a laugh. And you can watch number 1 and then number 4 because I think if you've watched the previous Beverly Hills Cops, it makes 4 funnier.
Yes.
If you have not, 4 is still funny, but not as funny.
Yeah.
Because there are
And
moments that you laugh at just because you're like, "Oh my god, they're still doing this."
they even do where that you were here in 84, 87, and he
Yeah,
says
and
it again in 94, not your finest hour. And that was actually I read it. It was a slight too. They
Yeah.
realized number 3 wasn't the best of Beverly Hills Cop movies.
Also, the uncle is played by Luis Guzman.
That's it. Yeah, he's
Yes.
awesome.
I love him so much.
Oh, when they hit that car and the door squishes the guy's head, the action in this movie is awesome. Like, and that's a great thing about Netflix. They don't care about opening weekends and who's going to the theater. They have no theaters to worry about. They just want people
Yeah.
to watch it. I don't know how much it costs to make this movie, but they dumped a lot of money into it.
I saw the budget is listed as like 150 million.
150 million. Yeah.
And I'm sure a good chunk of that is Eddie Murphy's paycheck.
Yeah, probably.
Because the man makes a lot of money. And also a lot of the actors, these are not like super like Judge Reinhold probably got a decent paycheck, not as crazy as Eddie Murphy, but
No.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt probably got a decent chunk. Like
Yeah.
you have a lot of actors here, Kevin Bacon, he probably got like a
Paul
lot of that
Reiser,
probably went
yeah.
a lot of that probably went to like actors' paychecks. Which well deserved because a lot of these actors are fucking amazing. They're great.
And that's why I do Netflix. I know I said Disney Plus was my favorite. I changed my mind a while ago because they got really preachy.
They got really preachy.
Well, a lot of the new stuff it's okay. It's all right. I love the back catalog. Anything new on Disney Plus is coming that I love is coming from effects. Fox, like the Bear.
Okay.
Always saying I love. They're great. But Netflix, like I said, is they'll pay the money as long as people watch it, and they're hoping that people because they're actually talking about a 5th one. If enough people are gonna watch this, they're more than willing to pay for a 5th movie.
I'd be super interested to see the streaming numbers on this. Like, I
Yeah.
want to know how many people have streamed it already because it's only been like what 2 days.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to know the numbers and just because I'm like, there's a lot of nostalgia in this one.
Oh yeah.
So I think it'll definitely. It's almost like a security blanket for people. Like it's a comfort movie.
Yeah, comfort food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's very soothing. It's very nice. You laugh, you joke. It's hilarious. There's action, really good action. I'm like, this is
Well, look how well
impressive.
Bad Boys, the new Bad Boys, the 4th one is doing.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet.
It's like it's at 170 or 180 million already.
You know, Bad Boys is another one where I really loved the first one.
Yeah,
I watched the second, did not watch the third.
the third was okay, and they screwed up. They named the third one Bad Boys for Life,
Yeah.
which they should have waited and called the fourth one Bad Boys for Life. But third one was okay. It wasn't bad. It was fun.
Yeah.
And then if you get over, Will Smith, slappy old Will Smith there. The fourth one, the preview looks great. I love Martin Lawrence and I love Will Smith. His movies are great. But
I love Will Smith.
People love these older legacy movies if they're done right. If you do them right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you do them right, these movies, like, because people will always the first movies always become comfort movies. Because I know a lot of people who are like, yeah, I've seen Bad Boys like 20 times or 30
Yeah.
times or whatever. If you make sequels, people will keep coming back. I think that's why Fast and Furious is still getting the kind of views and the kind of ticket sales, because even at 10, it's
so
fucking ridiculous.
It's so stupid.
So
But I
stupid.
watched it and it was entertaining.
I watched it. I watched it
Jason
on a
Momoa,
plane.
Momoa or whatever. his
Momoa.
name is.
Jason Momoa.
He was awesome.
But, like, that's the thing. I was coming back from vacation. I downloaded the movie to watch it on the plane.
Yeah.
And as I'm watching it, I was thoroughly entertained. And I
Yep.
was like, this is fun. It's stupid. Nobody's looking for Shakespeare. Okay. Nobody's watching Beverly Hills Cop for Shakespeare.
No.
Nobody's watching Fast and Furious for Shakespeare. Nobody's watching Bad Boys for Shakespeare.
No.
We're not going for highbrow, like, intellectual entertainment. We just want to be entertained. Like, we want to get into the movie and be like, that was really cool when they jumped out of this moving vehicle. Pick a vehicle, any vehicle. And I mean, that's what you get with Beverly Hills Cop, and that's what you get with Bad Boys, and that's what you get with Fast and Furious. You're like, entertain me, make it a spectacle for me to watch. That's
Yeah.
all I want. And this one delivers on that.
Yeah.
I had fun. It didn't feel like it was 2 hours long, which is always impressive.
Yeah, you weren't looking at your watch going, when is
Yeah.
this over?
There were no real lulls. And even in the non-action parts, they filled it with enough kind of interactions and emotional moments that you're like, okay, now it feels like kind of a personal story. Like, I was very invested in
Yeah.
Axel Foley and his daughter.
Yep.
And then I was very invested in Bobby Abbott and Axel Foley's daughter. I was like, what? Did you guys like actually date? Or was it like a one and done? Like, what happens? I want the details.
Well, it's like actually, it's like because Billy says, "Did he take you to a strip club yet?" And Axel's like, "I'm not taking him to a strip club. He had intercourse with my daughter."
You know, stuff like that was super entertaining to me because I was like, give me all the gossip, guys, while you blow shit up. Like,
Yeah.
yes, I'm in.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm saying Beverly Hills. If you have Netflix, yeah, it's an event movie. It's a summer movie. It's a blockbuster movie, and it's fun. It's entertaining. It's action's good. It's funny. There's some ha-has in it. Yeah.
And Eddie Murphy still looks very, very young for 63.
Yeah, and they don't play him as they do address his age too, which was nice to see as well. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk of like, why do you still want to do this? Like, shouldn't you be settling down? Don't you want to relax? Like,
Yeah.
why you should retire soon? And he's like, why? I still love this. Why would I do that? But it's interesting to see like how like Taggart kind of developed into a very like still like same kind of cop, but also kind of like half retired already, where he's like, oh, don't
one
make
foot out
me.
the door. He doesn't
Yeah,
want to.
he's like, oh, I don't wanna. And then, you know, Rosewood was still like he took on more Axel. So he was just like he was let free and he just went and became a PI. And I was like, that tracks. That definitely tracks. Yeah, no, I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, no, I did as well. All right. Thank you for going back to 1984 and taking a look at Beverly Hills Cop. We both said buy it. Yeah, so Fridays at 7 Eastern Standard Time. Next Friday, we'll definitely try for a 7 o'clock start.
There were technical difficulties today, okay?
Yeah.
There were technical difficulties.
And yeah, for the YouTube, we're going to be looking at Dante's Peak. Dante's Peak. Yeah, I'm excited about watching that too. All right. Again, thank you for coming back and watching it. And until the next movie we remember liking.
And And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.